The amazing worlds of Norse mythology. The Eddas contain many exciting stories of Norse gods, monsters, and other creatures. One tells of how Odin lost his eye. He learned of a well under Yggdrasil whose waters gave people wisdom. Odin visited it and asked the well's guardian, Mimir, to let him have a drink. Mimir told Odin that he would have to give up an eye in order to drink. Odin had no choice but to take out his own eye and drop it into the well. However, he was finally allowed to drink and became wiser after this. Another story tells about the giant wolf Fenrir. The Norse believed Loki, god of mischief, fathered Fenrir, the female being Hel, and the giant snake Jormungandr. The gods were afraid of these monsters and sent Hel and Jormungandr far away. However, they wanted to keep an eye on Fenrir by binding him in Asgard. They lied to Fenrir by saying that they wanted to test his strength with a powerful chain. Fenrir said he would only do it if the gods showed good faith. So Tyr, a god of war, put his hand into Fenrir's mouth. When Fenrir realized he couldn't escape, the wolf bit off Tyr's hand. This act of sacrifice by Tyr was very important to the Norse.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
And I'm Laura.
And we are back with Norse mythology. That's right. We're learning about all the gods and heroes of the Norse people, the Viking people, who now live in, of course, Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, places like that. And just like Greek myths, or, if you want to look at religions too, they have stories about how the world was created, the gods, the first people, and all that kind of stuff. We learned some of the basic early stories of the Greek myths yesterday. Today, we're going to be looking at some of the hero stories featuring some characters that we might be a little bit familiar with, maybe in a slightly different form, but some of the names we're going to come across will probably be a bit more familiar to you. So let's get back into it. The Eddas, remember these are the two books that kind of tell the story of the Norse myths and tell the story of how the Norse people were born and created. The Eddas contain many exciting stories of Norse gods, monsters, and other creatures. One tells of how Odin lost his eye. Oh my gosh, I hope he got it back. Odin we came across yesterday, right? In our first day, Odin, Vili, and Vi were some of the first gods created by the father gods in Norse myth. And so these are different gods, monsters, and creatures. Their stories are told in these exciting myths, these exciting tales. What is a creature? A creature is a living thing, an animal of some type, not a plant. It would be an animal of some type. It could be real, like a lion or a shark. These are creatures. They're often a little scary. They can also be imaginary. So dragons could be creatures. A phoenix could be a creature, something that you read from myths and things like that. They move around, they do stuff, and often they eat people or scare people or have to be killed by a hero or something like that. Here's an example from Greek myth. Medusa is one of the scariest creatures from Greek myths. If she looks at you, you turn to stone.
Yeah.
One always scared me, Medusa, and her hair is made of snakes. Ugh, that's a pretty scary creature. Okay. Clearly not a real person.
But I love listening to stories like that. Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Creature 是什么呢？通常在本课呢，是指的是虚构或是奇异的怪兽或者是生物。所以刚刚可能我们有提到 Phoenix 啊、凤凰啦、Dragon 啊、龙这样子的之类的。那我们提到的 tell of something 这个片语就是提及或是讲述这样的意思。所以我们提到的 The Eddas， 史诗包括许多关于北欧众神、怪物还有其他生物的非常的刺激啊或者兴奋的一些故事。那其中一个叙述了就是关于 Odin， 他如何失去他的眼睛。Will he get his eye back?
I don't know. Let's find out what he did to lose the eye in the first place. Odin, what did he do? He learned of a well under Yggdrasil whose waters gave people wisdom. Okay, so he heard about or he learned of this well under Yggdrasil. That's the underworld, remember, kind of the land of the dead for the Norse people. And the waters there gave people wisdom, which would be a good thing because wisdom is knowledge that you learn and gain through living your life. It's a little bit different from an education, from knowledge. You can read a lot of books and have a lot of knowledge and education, but if you don't live your life, if you don't go out and have experiences and learn from doing things and from other people, then you might not have wisdom. So it's a little bit different. Here's an example sentence. After making and learning from her mistakes, Jane has a lot of wisdom on the topic of choosing an apartment.
Right, okay. Learn of or learn about something 在这里有着得知或是获悉的意思。那 well 在这里呢是当作名词来用哦，有着井或是水井的意思。而 wisdom 这个名词就是智慧啦。For example, despite being young, Jenny's wisdom in handling difficult situations surprised everyone. She always knew the right thing to say. 所以课文整句是说，哇哦，这个 Odin 他得知了世界之术，他的下面呢有一口井，而井水能够赋予人智慧。
Odin visited it and asked the well's guardian, Mimir, to let him have a drink. He wants to kind of, cut a few corners and skip a few steps and become suddenly wise by drinking this magic water. And he hopes the guardian of the well will let him do that. I don't think he will. The guardian is, of course, the protector of something, like a security guard, like a guard. Your parents are your guardians. They keep their kids safe. Police officers can be guardians of people if there's criminals or danger or something like that. Basically, you're there to protect other people from having bad things happen to them. Here's a famous one. Any comic book fan can tell you the name of Gotham City's guardian, Batman. Of course, it's Batman. Yeah.
Okay, so guardian 是什么呢？就是看守者或是保护者哦，它是个名词。OK， 回到课文 ，Odin， 哇哦，他果真就造访了这口井哦。但是他是请这个井的守护者 Mimir 让他喝一口。And of course, I don't think the guardian is going to say yes.
It's never that easy. If you've ever read any myth, you know it won't be that easy at all. So what happened? Well, Mimir told Odin that he would have to give up an eye in order to drink. Can I just pay you some money? Do you a favor? Brush your horse? Polish your sword?
It has to be that hard.
Yeah, why do I have to give you an eye? Well, that's the price. Sorry. You want to be wise, you got to give me an eye to drink this magic water. Well, Odin had no choice. He actually did have a choice. He could have just walked away. Odin had no choice but to take out his own eye and drop it into the well. Ow, gross. I don't even know how you would do that.
What's going to happen to the people who want to drink the water later on?
That's absolutely right. They're going to have to keep an eye on that water.
Okay, so Mimir 他告诉 Odin 说，你必须牺牲一只眼睛才能喝到水哦。那 Odin 就别无选择，只好取下自己的眼睛，投入井中。我是觉得有点不卫生，因为后面的人怎么办？要喝这个水的人哦。那不过在这里，我们先来听一下，我们来看一下今天的 Language in Focus. So let's take a look. OK， 今天的 Language in Focus 就是主词接 have no or little choice, but 然后后面接不定词这个句型来表示别无选择，只能如何如何。我们来造个例句 He has no choice but to apologize for breaking his friend's skateboard. It was an accident, but he understands the importance of taking responsibility. 意思就是他不得不，他只能为打破朋友的滑板道歉。那虽然是一个意外哦，但是他明白承担责任的重要性。另外一个类似的句型就是主词 can't help but OK， 然后后面接动词或者是 can't help 然后接 VING， 则是用来强调忍不住如何如何。我们来举个例子，同样的让大家更清楚的用它的用法。During the movie, Jake can't help but laugh out loud at the hilarious scenes, attracting the attention of everyone around him. Or you could also say, during the movie, Jake can't help laughing out loud at the hilarious scenes, attracting the attention of everyone around him. 在电影当中，这个杰克 Jake OK， 他看到搞笑的场景，忍不住大笑出声哦，吸引了周围所有人的注意。
However, after dropping his eye into the well,
Ew.
he, that's Odin, was finally allowed to drink, yay, and became wiser after this. Is he really wise if he pulled out his own eye to drink the water? I'm not sure about that. Anyway, so there you go. He did actually become wise. And Odin, he's kind of like Zeus, right? He's kind of, or Jupiter. He's the king god, the father god. So he did go on to, be a powerful god, but minus one eye. All right, let's look at another interesting story. Another story talks or tells about the giant wolf, Fenrir. Fenrir the giant wolf. That's a pretty cool name. Do not name your chihuahua Fenrir. That is not going to be cool. What are we going to learn about this? Let's find out. It says the Norse believed Loki, Tom Hiddleston, god of mischief, fathered Fenrir, the female being Hel, and the giant snake Jormungandr. My gosh. Okay, so Loki had an interesting life. He's the god of mischief, so he's the god of like tricks and fooling people and maybe even lying. But he was the father of both Fenrir the wolf and also a giant snake named, I'll say that again, Jormungandr.
OK， 我们刚刚就是现在要讲个新的故事，是有关这个巨狼 Fenrir 的故事哦。Mischief OK， 这里呢，先来看这个字，它就是恶作剧，有捣蛋的意思，就是恶作剧之神 Loki 哦。那 father 在这里是当作动词、及物动词来用，表示成为谁的父亲这样子的意思啦。
Of course, I mentioned Tom Hiddleston, the actor, because he plays Loki, right?
Him.
In the Marvel movies. I don't know if they actually talk about this story in the Marvel movies.
I wonder.
But you can kind of imagine that's Loki. It says the gods were afraid of these monsters. I can understand that. And sent Hel and Jormungandr far away. So they didn't really like the idea of a giant wolf and a giant snake kind of just, walking or sliding around the place. And Loki is the god of mischief. They figure he's going to do something, evil or tricky or nasty with these things. Let's get these crazy giant animals out of here. It will be safer for everyone.
Okay, and we saw the phrase send somebody away. 就是命令谁谁谁离开或是把谁打发走哦。所以课文是说众神害怕这些怪物，就是远远的送走。
However, it says they wanted to keep an eye on Fenrir by binding him in Asgard. If you bind something, you tie it, you join together, you get a string or rope, you wrap it around something. In movies, if they capture someone, they might wrap their hands together using rope so they can't run away or something like that. They bind their hands together. They're basically tying it so they can keep it under control. It says the bad guys, in our example sentence, the bad guys used ropes to bind the hero's hands together so he couldn't break free. And in about 3 minutes, he broke free.
Okay. Keep an eye on somebody or something 就是注意或是留意什么什么。而 bind 刚刚有提到的这个动词就是捆啦或者是绑的意思。注意它的动词三态的变化是 bind, bound, bound. For example, the old book was falling apart, so Emily decided to bind it carefully, preserving the stories for future generations. 那回到课文是说，然而呢，他们想要怎么样系住 Fenrir， 然后在这个 Asgard 这个地方。
All right, but remember, Fenrir is a giant, powerful wolf. He probably won't let you bind him up so easily. So what did they do? The gods, they lied to Fenrir by saying that they wanted to test his strength with a powerful chain. So this chain is not to bind you. We're just testing your strength. If you can break the chain, we're all going to go, wow, and you're going to get a big doggy biscuit or something like that. His strength is his power, his physical power, his muscle power, that kind of thing. If you lift a lot of weights, you'll probably have a lot of strength, like the famous person in our example sentence. Taiwanese weightlifter Guo Xingchun has won many gold medals with her incredible strength. She could probably lift both Laura and I at the same time.
Nice. Okay. So strength 是就是力气啊、体力，它是一个名词哦。For example, despite his small size, Alex surprised everyone with his physical strength during the school's annual tug-of-war competition. 那回到课文是说，哇，他们竟然用这个方法，他们对这个 Fenrir 说谎，声称说，我们想要用一条强大的链子来测试你的力量。Seriously? He's going to fall for that?
Well, he's not a stupid wolf. He's actually kind of wise. It says Fenrir said he would only do it, he would only allow them to bind him and test his strength. He would only do it if the gods showed good faith. So Tyr, a god of war, put his hand into Fenrir's mouth. Oh my gosh. Do not put your hand in a wolf or a big dog's mouth and just trust it to not bite you. So I guess he's kind of saying, okay, I'll do it, but if you trick me, I'm going to bite down on Tyr's hand and he's going to be very unhappy.
Right. 所以 Fenrir 也说，只有在众神释出善意，我才愿意哦。因此战神 Tyr 他把他的手就伸进 Fenrir 他的嘴巴 and what's gonna happen?
Then of course the gods tricked him, so of course Fenrir bit down. It says when Fenrir realized he couldn't escape, the wolf bit off Tyr's hand. Ouch! So there goes Tyr's hand. I hope it was not his good hand.
So the other gods didn't really care about...
No, they're like, and Tyr's silly, and he's always clapping too loud, and maybe if they bite off his hand,
you don't need that hand.
It won't bother us so much.
Bite off 就是咬掉、咬下。果真呢，当 Fenrir 意识到自己无法逃脱的时候，他当然就咬断了这个 Tyr 的手啦。
All right, well, this act of sacrifice by Tyr was very important to the Norse. So they're kind of saying Tyr gave up a hand to protect everyone else. This was an act of sacrifice. To sacrifice is to give up something that is very important or very valuable to you, and you're usually giving it up to help other people or for some good reason, some noble kind of reason. Great success, for example, often also requires great sacrifice. If you want to be a really successful business person, you often hear business people, they became famous and wealthy and successful, but they didn't spend a lot of time with their family, for example. They're always at the office, so they have to give up one thing to get another thing, and they feel it's worth it, but it isn't easy.
OK, sacrifice 在本课呢是当作名词来用哦。OK, 它就是有牺牲，不过它也可以当作动词来用哦。举例来说 ，In order to pursue his passion for music, James had to sacrifice some of his free time, but he believed it was worth it in the end. OK, 课文提到就是说，不过呢，刚刚我们有提到说是手被咬掉嘛 ，Tyr 的这一次牺牲对北欧人是非常重要的哦。
So far, Odin sacrificed an eye to gain wisdom, and Tyr sacrificed a hand to protect the other gods. I wonder if they had these myths because Vikings, they fought a lot of wars. You might get your hand cut off or your eye poked out.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, hey, that's okay. You're a good guy. You're like a god because you did that, just like Odin and Tyr.
You're brave.
Or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Here's our chat question before we say goodbye. Why do you think Mimir told Odin to take out his eye, and would you have done the same?
Okay. I think Mimir told Odin to take out his eye because gaining wisdom often requires sacrifice, I guess.
Yeah.
And Odin sought profound knowledge to better understand the world. I wouldn't have done the same, of course, because losing an eye seems too extreme for me. But I appreciate Odin's dedication to knowledge and his willingness to make sacrifices for
Absolutely, yeah. Now, if you want wisdom, you can just go on Wikipedia and read a lot of articles, so you don't have to sacrifice.
They could be like false information.
Well, that is true. That is true. We have other ways to gain wisdom, and hopefully you can keep both of your eyes while you do it. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with all of our eyes and hopefully with all of you guys as well. We'll see you then for one more day of crazy Norse myths. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Creature. Billy didn't like the comic book because it had lots of scary creatures in it. Wisdom. My grandmother's many life experiences have given her great wisdom, which she often shares with us. Guardian. In the story, The brave dog acted as a guardian to protect the lost children in the forest. Bind. Tim used a rope to bind his books together before putting them in his backpack. Strength. Jonas pushed against the old building's heavy doors, but he didn't have the strength to open them. Sacrifice. The baseball team's victory was the result of hard work and sacrifice during practice.
智慧小补帖
Mischief.